What's up, guys? We are live. What's up, everyone? We are live. This is a live Blender Q&A and tutorial. What's up, guys? Hope everyone had a great weekend. By the way, the Discord has launched. So if you want to join the Discord, and you could also watch it from there, I'm going to pin the Discord link to join the Discord if you want. Hello, sir. What's up, Figu? What's up, Figu? So guys, I'm pinning the Discord link right there. You could join the Discord and watch it from there and also ask the questions there. Once again, guys, this is a live Blender Q&A and tutorial. I'm going to be taking questions. If you guys have any questions regarding anything Blender related, you could ask it tonight. And we will do a live tutorial as well. So let me just add this, join the Discord. What's up, guys? How's everyone been? Can we talk at Discord or just watching? For this one, you could watch, but we have other channels where you could talk. Hello, sir. Nef Jerry Sin says, what's up, brother? So yeah, just join the Discord. This channel, you could only watch because otherwise there will be a bunch of people talking as I'm trying to explain things. So it won't work, but we have other channels. We have a text chat channel and a live chat channel as well. So yeah, you could join and talk in the other channels if you want. All right, guys. So once again, this is a live Blender Q&A and tutorial. If you have any questions, go ahead and ask it. Again, it could be relating to anything in Blender. It could be geometry nodes, shader nodes, texturing, animation, whatever you want. And once again, guys, we just launched the Discord today, or basically this past weekend. So go ahead and join the Discord as well, as you'll be able to get more help there after. And let me, by the way, let me check. Let me make sure. Can you see me, Growl, by the way? I don't know why it stopped sharing on Discord, honestly. All right, there we go. Should be good now. All right, does anyone have any questions regarding anything in Blender? Okay, so neighborhood graphic design says, after all the tutorials, how do you go about learning Blender by yourself? That's a good question, my friend. So again, his question is, after you watch all the tutorials, hi, I'm new, GB says. What's up, GB? So his question is, after watching all the tutorials, how do you go about learning Blender by yourself? We can see the screen. You can see the screen or you can't. You should be able to see it. So the question is, how do you go about learning Blender by yourself? That's a great question. So let's say, for example, you're learning geometry nodes or, learning anything. And this goes for anything, guys. So my process for learning things after watching all the tutorials to learn stuff by myself is basically over here. For example, let's say I'm learning about geometry nodes. Obviously, you're watching a tutorial and you're learning about the different nodes and the different setups. So then the best way to do it is to create things yourself, using what you learned, because it's in the using it that you start to build that muscle. So let's say, for example, I learned about the transform geometry node in geometry nodes and the instance on points. Well, what I like to do, and so many people are scared of breaking stuff in Blender and for them to like break something and press the wrong button. But there's no need to be scared of that because you could just go ahead and reopen your file. Topology is hard. How can I merge a cylinder into a sphere? I'm stuck on modeling part for days. I could show you after, brother. Can you make a cool vids using Blender? Absolutely, you can. And I'll get to your question in a second, Valhallas. So again, to learn yourself, let's say you have your file here. Guys, mess around with the settings. Don't be scared to press buttons. Just save your file. For example, right here, let's say I was going to instance some points on here, and I'm going to instance some icospheres on here. Well, right here, let's say I don't know what any of these settings do. Well, I'm just going to save my file. So save the file, and I'll just save it as test1. And the way I like to learn is to just mess with the settings and see what they do. For example, again, you have this set up, but you don't know what anything does. Well, here, first of all, if you hover your mouse over anything, it will tell you what it does usually. Then if I just mess with it, I could say, oh, well, this says radius, and when I change it, it changes the radius. So obviously that does that. Right here, the subdivisions, obviously when I change this, it's going to go ahead and change the subdivisions, and I could visually see what it does. And then right here, if I click this, you can see that it disappears. So I'm probably wondering, what the heck does this do? Because it's making my thing disappear. So how do I figure out what this does? Well, if I click this, first of all, I get an error message here. So I will look at the error message. It says realized geometry is not used when pick instances is true. Now, that might not mean anything to me. So I'll uncheck it and I'll hover my mouse over here and see if there's more information I could get. Choose instances from the instance input at each point instead of instancing the entire geometry. So right here, I kind of understand more, but maybe I want to understand a little bit more about it. So a great place, guys, to learn about things is the Blender Wiki. I don't know why I said wiki. The Blender Wiki. So I'm going to just Google Blender instance on points and get the instance on points information right here. And then right here, I'm going to see some more information. For example, the pick instances, which is what I'm trying to get information of how that works. So it says right here, if enabled, instead of adding the entire geometry, it basically says almost the same thing. The geometry, entire geometry from the instance input on every point. Choose an instance from the instance list of the geometry based on the instance index input. This option is intended to be used with the collection info node. So I got a little bit more info here. So it's intended to be used with the collection info node. And if I click on this, I can see that the collection info node gets information from collections. So basically, I need to have a collection plugged in here. So if I go ahead and add in, for example, a monkey and a cylinder, I could put these into a collection. And it said that this needed the collection info node. So let me add that and see what we're able to get. So collection info. And right here, you can see that it basically says it's picking the instance. So here I would plug the collection info into the instance. And I would get the collection right here. I'm going to go ahead and click separate children and reset children. Again, how do we kind of learn what this is? Well, again, if you hover your mouse over things, it will tell you. So for example, right here, output each children of the collection as a separate instance. So right here, it's going to basically, our collection has two objects. And so it's going to separate all of these objects as separate instances. Now, maybe, and again, guys, this might seem silly, but maybe you don't understand what an instance is. Now, what the heck is an instance? And it will definitely help to understand what that means. So I could go to Google and I could type in define instance in 3D. I usually put in 3D because otherwise I'll get different stuff. So right here, it says an instance is an interchangeable clone of the original. So it's basically a duplicate. So now I understand what an instance is. I'm just showing you how I learn stuff. So you can instance object modifiers, controllers, materials, and maps. And then right here, what is an object instance? Object instance is a specific occurrence of an object. For example, a specific mail message. Well, that doesn't really help us. But basically, instances are scene objects that share a link with each other. So as it says right here, it's a clone of the original. So now I understand that an instance is a clone of the original. So right here, if I click reset children, it will reset the transform of every child instance in the output. So right here, it will reset again their location, basically. It will reset their transforms. And then right here with pick instances, once again, it says choose instances from the instance input. Again, this is the instance input. So it says it's going to choose an instance from the instance input at each point instead of instancing the entire geometry. So right here, you can see that it's instancing both of these objects. But if I click pick instance, it's going to instance only one of these objects per point. So again, to answer your question about how to learn by yourself once you start to watch tutorials, it really helps to start understanding what the words mean and what the things mean. I find that a lot of times if you don't understand like what a word means, it kind of hinders you from learning it. Because if I don't know that an instance is a duplicate or a copy of an object, it's like, what am I plugging into here? I don't understand what I'm plugging into here. So that really helps. All right. Let's see. What other questions that we have? Of course he can. I can. Can you make a cool vids using Blender? Says, of course he can. I can too, but I started 1 month ago. By the way, guys, you could join the Discord channel. Again, I posted or pinned the link right there. And we are live on Discord as well. What's up, GB? How are you, man? All right. Does anyone have any other questions regarding anything in Blender? So any other questions regarding... Thank you so much, Neighborhood Graphic Designer says. Yeah, so that was kind of long-winded, but basically, Neighborhood, to learn stuff on your own after, a big part of it is understanding the terminology and what the words mean. Because, let me give you another quick example. I only started to understand when you define that word, LOL. Yeah, exactly. Let me give you another quick example. So, for example, let me just check something here. I want to check. Yeah, okay, whatever. So, for example, right here, we have the rotation. And for example, I could go ahead and get an align Euler to vector. Now again, what the heck is an Euler? It says align Euler to vector. And in that case, what the heck's a vector? You know, if you don't understand those things, you don't understand the node, because what does that mean? So right here, again, it can get pretty technical as well. So you want to find simple definitions. So for example, right here, you can see Euler angles. And a cool way that I like to do it too, if it's really confusing, you could even use ChatGPT. So for example, I could go ahead and type in what is Euler in 3D? Did I type that right? EULER, yeah. What is, I could put an Euler, I guess. What is an Euler in 3D? And I could go ahead and prompt that, and it will give me the information of what an Euler is. But then, of course, it's going to be complicated as heck. I mean, this is probably like more technical. You can see in 3D graphics, an Euler typically refers to the Euler angles, which are a way to represent the orientation of an object in three-dimensional space. So basically, it helps represent the orientation of an object in three-dimensional space. But then I could always ask it, give me this in simple terms. And I could hit enter. And right here, imagine you're playing with a toy spaceship in a room. When you tilt the spaceship up, down, or sideways, you're changing its orientation in three-dimensional space. Now think of Euler angles as a way to describe those tilts using 3 numbers. Each number represents how much you've tilted the spaceship around a different axis. So again, an Euler is basically the rotation or the tilt of our 3D object. So now that we understand a little bit better what Euler means, we could kind of replace Euler with rotation. So it's going to align the rotation to the vector. Now again, what in the world is a vector? Well, a vector is a point in space. So for example, here, if I have, let me hide this quickly. If I have a vector of 1, let me just type it in here. If I have a vector of 1, 1, and 1, so this is the x-axis, y, and z, well, my vector or the point in space is, if I go 1 over on the x, then 1 over on the y, like this, and then 1 over on the z, you can see that the vector or the point in space of 1, 1, and 1 is this point in space right here. So basically, this node is going to align our rotation to a certain point in space, to the vector. And so now that I understand more what that means, if I want to orient these objects right here, so if I want to orient these based off of the normal, and again, if you don't understand what normal means, you're not going to understand what this does. Yo, sometimes your mic changes the pitch of your voice and the speed. Haha. Yeah, I'm AI, man. Nice to see girls into Blender. Struth. Struth says hi. What's up, Struth? Struth Venkataramanan. What's up, Struth? All right, so again, if you don't understand what this word means, normal, it's going to be hard to understand what the node means. So once again, we could go to Google or we could use ChatGPT. So if I put in here, define normal in 3D, you can see in three-dimensional space, a surface normal or simply normal to a surface point is a vector perpendicular to the tangent plane of the surface at P. Now again, I mean, I understand it because I know what this means, but like if I was a beginner, I would be like, what the heck does that mean? I'm just more confused. So once again, I could use ChatGPT. I could type in what is a normal in 3D, and I could hit enter. And you can see that right here, it gives me a more technical definition. A normal, often referred to as a surface normal, is a vector that is perpendicular to a surface at a specific point, etc. By the way, Growl, am I still live on Discord or no? Let me know on the chat if you can. So right here, I could type in, give this to me in simple terms. And here we'll dumb it down. So sure thing. Picture that you're touching a tabletop. Now imagine you have a tiny arrow sticking straight up from the tabletop. That arrow is the normal to the tabletop at the point where you're touching it. It tells you which way the tabletop is facing right there. So again, a normal is basically telling us which way a face is facing. Normals are like these little arrows that tell you which direction a surface is pointing at every spot on it. They're super helpful in lots of things. So again, a normal tells us which direction a face is pointing. What's up, MG Music? So if I look at this right here, if I add a cube, and over here, the normals of this, again, the normals it said was the direction that a face is pointing in. So per that definition, the normals of this cube, the normal of this top face should be this. The normal of this face should be here. The normal of this one should be here. And the normal of this one should be here. And if I turn on the normals of this object via over here, turn on the normals, you can see that that's exactly right. Those are the normals of the cube. Just like on Suzanne right here, we have all the normals. So again, the normals are the perpendicular direction of the faces, or the direction that these faces are pointing in. So again, back on this, now that I know what a normal is, right here it's going to align It's going to align the rotation to the vector. And since our vector is set to the normals, it's going to align the rotation to the normals or to the direction that the faces are pointing in. How awesome is that? So now, if I change this, you can see that we get different rotations. And again, it's going to align the rotation of these objects to the normals or to the direction that these faces are pointing in. Pretty cool. So right here, let me get the cube back so we can see a little bit better. Join geometry, Control Shift left click, plug this in. So you can see right here, and let me scale these down a little bit. So you can see right here, it's basically aligning these to the normals of the vertices, because again, we are instancing these objects onto the points or the vertices. So right here, it's aligning those, as you can see, to the normals or the direction of the vertices, as you can see. Now, let's say we wanted to align it to the direction of the faces. So right here, if I go ahead and change or get a mesh to points right here. And again, if you don't understand what points are, then that's going to be an issue. You can see that right here. I could go ahead and get this. Now with this, I'm going to need to get a capture attribute before. So capture attribute. And let me change this to vector and plug the normal into here and plug this into here. And then this, change it to face. So now it is aligning these objects to the normals of the faces of the cube. So now you can see what I got right here. All of these objects are aligned to the faces or the direction that these faces are pointing in. Very cool. What's up, Yu-Gi-Oh? What's up, brother? All right, so hopefully that answers your question. I forgot what your name was. I'm sorry. Neighborhood graphic designer. So again, before, like if there's a node or something where you don't understand what the words mean or what the terminology is, try to look that up before, as it will help you. Again, when I first tried doing Blender, I would be like, normals? I don't know what that is, but who cares? Let's just continue anyways. I know that if I click this, that, and that, I get that result. But I don't know why, but I do know that I get that result. But I never knew why, because I didn't understand what it meant or what it did. So again, one of the best ways to learn yourself is as you go through it, just mess with stuff. But if there's something that you don't understand, look it up. And again, a great way to look it up is using ChatGPT, because again, it could give it to you in simple terms, etc. What's up, guys, on Discord? By the way, Growl, am I showing on Discord or not? Or Poe could tell me. Oh yeah, I am. What's up, guys? Never mind, I see it here. All right. So very, very cool. And good question, because, you know, it's by learning that that you're able to learn it better. Wow, that was a terrible quote. All right. All right. My question earlier was how to merge a cylinder and a sphere using topology. Started learning in poles and stuff, but I don't understand how to do it. All right. Yes, I remember your question. So his question is how to have a cylinder with a UV sphere. So pretty simple. If you have a UV sphere here like that, you want to go ahead and enable. So if we go to edit, preferences, and right here, we can enable loop tools. So the loop tools add-on right here. And with the loop tools add-on over here, if we go into edit mode of our sphere, we could kind of select wherever we want to add a cylinder, for example, right here. And I could go ahead and inset this. So I to inset. And then if I hit the N key to get the loop tools, which is over here, I have this option called circle right here. And it will create it as a circle, as you can see right there. In the bottom left, I have different options. So I could change the angle so that it's not rotated like that. So right here, I'll change the angle a little bit, like so. And then I could do, a couple things. I could also right here, you could, no, that's not what I want. Um, right here, I could either extrude it into a cylinder or just add a cylinder to that. So for example, if I want to extrude this into a cylinder, I could just do that and then hit S, Z twice, because right now it's not flattened. I could hit S, Z twice. Let me get this to local or normal, S, Z, and 0, and flatten it out. And now I have a cylinder attached to a UV sphere. This isn't pertaining to Blender. However, how did you go about finding animation internships? How did you go? Well, I didn't find it, and I didn't find animation internships. But how would you go about that? First of all, portfolio, I would say. Have a good portfolio that you could show to people. And then as far as internships, a great way to get into a studio or internship is see what kind of value they need. And you could offer your help, even if it's for free for a month. For example, you could offer your help for free for a month. And if they like your work and like what they do, then after the month, they hire you. But this way, they don't feel an obligation and they're not committed, because they could hire you right away too, of course. But let's say, they're not looking for new people. But then you say, okay, I'll work for free for a month. And if you like my work, then we could talk. And that's a great way, because then people are, they don't, especially if they're not necessarily looking to hire, they could get a feel for you and your work. And then if they like it, they could hire you. And that's a great way to get your foot in the door with anything, not only internships with 3D, but anything, to get mentorship in anything, or internship or mentorship. Doesn't really matter. But great question. And so here with the cylinder, you could either do that, or here, if I was to just have this. So let me go back. So right here, I'm just going to change this to circle. Excuse me. And then here, I could hit X and delete the vertices. Not the vertices, sorry, the faces. Then I could Alt left click this vertex loop. I could look how many vertices I have by going to statistics. And you can see I have 12 vertices. And then right here, I could hit Shift S, cursor to selected, Shift A. I could add in a cylinder and change it to 12. And right here, I could go ahead and delete this bottom face, select all this, and scale this down. There's a way to align objects to a certain view or to a certain angle, but I'm forgetting what it is right now. So I'm just going to do it manually, sort of. And let me change this to normal. See, there we go. So then I could just bring this here, and I could then Alt Shift left click both of these and go to Edge, Bridge Edge Loops. You can see, obviously, I need to straighten it a little bit better, but there's really no reason to do it that way, to add a cylinder. It just makes it more annoying to align it. Again, I would just go ahead on your UV sphere, select the faces that you want to create into a cylinder. For example, if it's these right here, I key inset them with loop tools, click on circle, and then change the tilt right here, or the angle, so that's a little bit neater because it's very messy by default. And then just go ahead and extrude it, and then hit S, Z, 0 on the normals. And then here, if you want like an N-gon, you could delete these faces and fill this with an N-gon, or you could fill it with a triangle fan if you want. Merge at center like that, whatever you want. And now you got a cylinder on a sphere. Neighborhood graphic designer says, thank you, anytime. Hopefully that helps you. Valhalas Milan. All right, great questions so far, guys. By the way, we do this every single weeknight. Again, guys, we just launched the Discord. So join the Discord. The invite link is right there. I'm going to post it again. Just go to the invite link and join the Discord. Just verify yourself and you could join the Discord. We do this every weeknight and we are live on there. And also we have a website with forums and everything. So you could chat on there. We have some chat channels, all that good stuff. So join all of that. All right. Does anyone, what's up, Poe? What's up, MST? Or man, everyone has like so many different names everywhere now. What's up, Default Cube? By the way, Growl, how's the quality on Discord? I mean, I know it's only 720, so I'm going to have to upgrade it. All right. Does anyone have any other questions? Great questions so far. Anyone have any questions? Again, guys, questions could be related to anything. Geometry nodes, shader nodes, texturing, animating. How to delete the default cube, although we went over that last week. All right. Any questions, guys? Again, there are no stupid questions. If you're thinking about it, somebody else is. Didn't know about those tools at all. I was doing it all manually. Thank you so very much. Anytime, Valhallas. And Valhallas, another way, because that's an add-on, but a way to do it with built-in tools is if you select your faces and hit the I key to inset, you can hit Alt, Shift, and S, and then you can make things to sphere, as you can see right there. However, as you can see as well, this is not doing as good of a job to make it to a sphere. As you can see, it's kind of messy. Of course, you could change some of the settings right here, but it's not as good as the loop option in Loop Tools. I don't even know what happened there, as you can see. So again, the Loop Tools circle does a much better job. But sometimes Alt-Shift-S and 1 or Alt-Shift-S does a good job, especially if I delete these. You can see I could Alt-Shift-S and make this to sphere, and that works kind of fine. It's kind of square, but then I could kind of smooth it out. Smooth vertices, where is it? Right there, smooth it out, and Alt-Shift-S and 1 again to make it to sphere again. But you can see that it's kind of like dented the geometry and stuff. So again, the Loop Tools circle option just works beautifully. All right. By the way, guys, the recording of this will be on BlenderMania3.com and on my YouTube, BlenderMania. Cool. So does anyone have any other questions? Questions going once, going twice. We're going to do a live tutorial soon, guys. Again, questions could be about anything. Geometry nodes, shader nodes, modeling, animation, geometry nodes. I already said that, but I'm very into geometry nodes. And again, guys, go to the Discord. All right. And again, guys, we do this every single weeknight, 6 p.m. PST, same time, same place. Let me check over here. Oh, wait, I forgot that we're live on YouTube as well and stuff. I didn't forget you YouTube people. GB, you're not new, man. What are you talking about? All right. Anyone have any other questions regarding anything? Otherwise, we'll get into the live tutorial. Discord message. Oh, crap. There's a bunch of chat on the Discord. I didn't even see it. Sorry. I just saw the Discord chat. There's like 36 messages there. I'm trying to make the fingerprints a bit more random rather than tiled. Is that possible? I mean, they look pretty random to me. He abandoned us. No, I mean, how much more random do you want them? They look pretty random to me. Or oh, with an array modifier, it's a bit blend. Try opening the dot blend. Okay, let me try. All right, let me open this dot blend from default cube. All right, so let me show you something cool here. 5 hours later. By the way, oh no, when I switch a screen, I gotta reshare the screen, I think. Crap. Hold on. All right, let me just open this. All right, so default cube or MST creator. Everyone's got like 20 names now. His question is he has some fingerprints. He's wondering how to vary them. So let me show you quickly. Yeah, I just saw the chat now, guys. So why is this not opening? 5 hours later. There we go. Okay. So let me close the other Blender window. Let me close that. Let me reshare my screen to this Blender. Change windows. Window. Share. Okay, so where's the fingerprint thing? Is it a texture? Let's see. UV editor. Fingerprints. You didn't pack the image? You didn't pack the image? He says, "Oh shit! You didn't." Hey, default cube, just send me the image. Just send the image. I'll just show you. I'll show you, and then you could apply it to the walls. It'll be the same thing. Just send me the image. Where'd you send the image? On the website or where? Oh, private message. In the chat here. Okay. Oh, right. The image is right there. Never mind. Okay. So let me open it. Save image as. 5 hours later. All right. So there we go. All right, guys. I really want to make myself talk without could do it. Face add-on. What program do you recommend for creating character? I don't recommend any program, man. I recommend to just learn it yourself because the thing is, and I'm going to get to the fingerprints in a second, default. The thing is, if you do a character creation, if you want to be able to change it, if you create your own character, you understand much more how it's made up and how it all fits together. Fudge it. No one is asking questions. Teach me everything about topology. We could go into some topology and face creation here in a second. Thank you for answering my questions. You're a legend. Good night. Anytime. All right. So here, somebody has this image right here. Let me get the image. Let me go to the Discord here as well. In the chat, scroll up. Yeah, I got it. Thank you, Grell. All right. So the question is, this person has... Why the sad face? I got the image. All right. So here, somebody has this image of fingerprints. So right here, what was your image called? Dang it. All right, let me check. It's called... Where did I save your image? For crying out loud, let me save this thing again. Save image as... Oh, wait, I saved it on the desktop, I think. Desktop. It's saved on the desktop. Okay, never mind. Open, desktop, fingerprints, fingerprints, right there. All right. So again, the question is, they have these fingerprints, but when they array it, it's very repetitive. So for example, here, let me hit Control-T, add a mapping and texture coordinate, and set it to UV. So right here, I'm going to array this. Boom, it's arrayed, and it's very repetitive because obviously the array is just repeating the texture exactly the same. So what we could do here, default cube, what you could do, make sure that this is set to UV. So by default, it's already set to UV, but I just like to add these anyways. So what we're going to do here is on the array modifier, again, the issue is that these are repeated and repetitive. You can see here we have UVs. And here we could offset the U and the V texturing or coordination. So here you can see it randomizes it like so. So we're able to basically randomize it. Now, right here, you could see it kind of creates a tiling issue. But if you have it at a certain scale, right here, you could see that if I had this just to the normal, everything is repetitive. But once again, I could change the U and the V offset for the arrays, and it will basically randomize everything, as you could see right there. So I would just mess with these. I'm using it for another thing, so the tiling thing isn't the bigger issue. What's the issue? Holy crap. Hi, Kyle. Welcome. What's up, Kyle? I have no idea who Kyle is, but welcome. Welcome, Kyle. What's the issue then? I just want to ask what I saw renders of Max from V-Ray. Hey, buddy. What's up, Root? I don't understand your question, Root. Can Blender get that level of output? Hey, Root, if you go to the Discord and you want to share what the image looks like, I'll tell you, but I'm sure it can. Blender can achieve 3D Studio Max V-Ray Grouse S, probably. MST, what's the big issue? I thought the tiling was the issue. You lied to me. I'm just kidding. But yeah, yeah, it was. What? I'm so confused. You just said the tiling isn't the biggest issue. And then you just said it was the issue. I'm so lost. I am so lost. Yes, please explain, because I am officially lost at this point. I am lost. All right. Somebody else had a question about build a face, or Valhallas was asking about teach me everything about topology. We could get into topology. My initial issue was that it was too repetitive. Now you say it doesn't look right with U's and V's. So that isn't the big issue. I just need randomness. Okay. Well, I mean, okay. So for randomness, what I would do is I would expand on the node setup here. So again, the question is, he has these fingerprints and it's too repetitive and he wants randomness. So again, I would expand on the node setup here. So for example, let's say we want some of these panels to, have less of this material or this texture right here. Well, I could add, for example, a Musgrave texture. Wait, Musgrave doesn't exist anymore, for crying out loud. A noise texture. Nice one. So I could add a noise texture here. And for example, if I Control-Shift left-click this over here, you can see that I get that. Now, obviously, I want to contrast it, so I could add a color ramp. So a color ramp right here. And again, the black part, if I contrast this, the black is going to be where the fingerprints are not. And again, if I adjust the U and V right here, it's going to kind of randomize where this is. Now, to be honest, brother, I don't like to... If you need randomness, having an array is not the best way to get randomness. I would, you could even link duplicate it. It'll be easier to get randomness, because then you could kind of change the randomness based on the individual islands or the individual objects. But for example, here, I could go ahead. It's a long hallway. That's the issue. Yeah, dude. Do it as a link duplicate it. Instance it instead. Use an instancer instead. So right here, I could get a mixed color. Musgrave is gone. What took its place? Yeah, the noise texture has replaced the Musgrave texture. However, you can still get the same results. So don't worry. But right here, you could see that right here, I could go ahead and let me change this to multiply over here and bring the factor up to 1. And now I can use this Musgrave right here to basically change which parts will have fingerprints and which won't. So you can see where the black parts of the Musgrave are, there won't be any fingerprints. Now, once again, shows how much I pay attention. So you can see now it's broken up a little bit more random, as you can see, because the Musgrave kind of really breaks it up. And of course, you could adjust this a little bit. But once again, I don't necessarily like the array for making things look different. So instead of an array, let me see. I'm forgetting if this node. Let me see. Yeah, I think it's the geometry node. Yeah. So right here, if I apply the array right here, and again, you could use this as a, let me make sure. Yeah, these are all separate islands. So you could either instance your objects, or right here, if you get a geometry node, you can see that right here we have a random per island. And again, guys, an island is just a piece of the mesh in edit mode that is separate from the other one. So right here, all of these are islands. So right here, this random per island is going to output a value between 0 and 1. So I could kind of plug this into whatever I want, and it's going to randomize it for every different piece of my geometry. Also, instead of this, I could also use the position of the object. So for example, let me delete all these. Let me delete all those. So right here, you could see based on the position, I could change, for example, the scale of the texture. So now you can see that as I change the position of this, it will randomize it. And then, like you said, it's a long hallway. So obviously you don't want to duplicate these. You want to instance these. So I would hit Alt D instead. And if I hit Alt D and then Shift R to repeat, you can see I could repeat this a bunch of times. And of course, again, this right here is link duplicated, meaning these are all instances. So there's not more geometry. But wherever I move these, you can see that the texture is changing. And I could plug this into anything I want. I could plug this into the detail. I could plug this into the scale if I want. So right here, I could plug this into the scale. And again, whatever you plug it into, you will get variation on that based on where it is. Obviously, this looks terrible, but you get the point. So now wherever I move this, you can see it's going to change the detail and the scale. Obviously, I plugged it into too many things, but randomized rotation, perhaps. Yeah, you could randomize whatever you want. You could randomize the rotation. So you could put this, you could put the position into the rotation. And then based on where these are, it will randomize the rotation. Although right here, it's basically distorting the vectors. So that's not necessarily a good idea. But for example, let's see, what else could we do? I mean, there's a lot of different things you could do. Okay, that is what I was thinking. So what the difference between that and random node? The random node, so this one right here, you mean the object random? Or object, you mean the object info, right? The object info set to random? Is that what you mean? So these give similar things. However, this one right here, again, the question is, what's the difference between the object info node and the geometry node? So right here, let me just delete some of this and delete some of this. So right here, let me get a color ramp, for example. Color ramp right here. And let me plug the random into here. So basically, with this one, and let me check if anyone has any questions on Instagram quickly. Bro, should I use tiles in animation for render cycles? Character creator. Are you talking about tiling? Tile rendering? Is that what you're talking about? Sorry, MST hijacked your question. So the object info node right here is going to give information about the object, obviously. Now, the position and location, yeah, that gives similar results or information. But they are similar in ways. They basically output information based on either the geometry or the object. For example, right here, this random value outputs a value between 0 and 1 for every object. So, for example, if I change this to constant and bring this down, you can see that here I get some random black and white patterns. And that's because, again, this random value, this outputs a value between 0 and 1. So all of these objects are getting a value between 0 and 1. Now, depending on if it's 0 or 1, it will get a different color. You can see that this color ramp also goes between 0. This color ramp goes between 0 and 1. You can see that here, this is 0. You can see position of 0. And all the way over here, this is a position of 1. And right here, it's 0.5. So right here, we could see that some of these are black and some are white. So we know that the black ones have been assigned a random value between 0 and this right here, 0.5. So we know that all of these right here have a random value assigned between 0 and 0.5, hence why they are black, because they're given a value that's somewhere in between here. As you can see, if I move this, you can see that right here, this position would be a value of 0.196. So let's say this random value gives this cube right here, or this square, a value of 0.196. So let's say the random value assigned to this object is a value of 0.196. Well, the value of 0.196 is going to be a black color because you can see 0.196 falls into the black area. Likewise, over here, if this falls at a value of 0.684, for example, we know that it's a white tile. So let's say this tile falls at a value of I forgot what the value is, 0.6, whatever, 0.696 or whatever. Let's say the random value given to this is 0.696. Well, it gave a random value of 0.696, and 0.696 falls in the white area. So it's going to be white. Hi, Snow. Welcome. What's up, Snow? He found the Discord. Swaying trees in the wind. Can you do real measuring scales on Blender for 3D printing? Yeah, I could do that. That's a great question. Bro, please answer my question. Sad face. Saeed, I answered your question on the site. Are you talking about tiling? Okay, you're talking about tiling. So let me check quickly. Growl, does that kind of answer your question? Then I'll get to the tiling question and then the 3D printing question. So Growl, they are very similar. They output information about the geometry or the object info. And for example, here, this outputs information about the normals, about the position, this gives a value between 0 and 1 for each island. And again, this one gives a value for a random value between 0 and 1, a random location, etc. It says, yeah, that's fine. Thanks. Cool. And then, for example, if I plug the location in here, if I plug the location in here, you can see that here, this is going to be based on the location. So as I move this, you can see that it will change the color based on the location off of the vectors. So if it's to the right of the y-axis, it's going to be white. If it's to the left of it, it's going to be black, as you can see right there. And obviously, if I change this, you can see that it will flip it, etc. So there you go. And then if I get like a red in here, you could see that we could get some red in here somewhere. I don't know where the red is, but somewhere in here. All right, the red is, there it is. The red is right there. Good night, humans. Good night, brother. All right. So, Saeed was asking me about tiling for rendering out. Honestly, brother, I haven't used tiling really much myself. So, I don't think you necessarily need it. I rendered out a whole animated short with 4,000 frames without any tiling. What I do is I mainly put the time limit. So I'll put my time limit to like 3 minutes. So put the time limit to like 3 minutes, which will help with it not taking too long for every frame. And then other than that, I personally like to render out for that animation. I rendered out as open EXR multi-layer images so that I have the different passes. And I rendered out with the denoise pass or the denoise data so that I was then able to denoise it. But yeah, as far as tiling, do people still do that? I feel like tiling was like when Cycles first came out. Is there even still tiling in Cycles? I don't even, where is the tiling anyways? I guess it's, see, that just goes to show how much I use tiling. I don't even know where it is. Yeah, I don't even know where tiling is. Oh, here it is, maybe, I think. Yeah, I personally don't use tiling, man. If you're using Cycles for animation, like I've mentioned before, an important thing is if you have, what is it called? Temporal denoising. So you want to have temporal denoising if you're rendering out with Cycles and an animation. What temporal denoising does is it basically takes the noise of the previous frame and the next frame, and it basically combines the current frame with the noise of the previous frame and the next frame so that you don't have any like weird glitching from the denoising. If you want temporal denoising, check out the add-on Super Image Denoiser, and that will help you to render out faster, my friend. But yeah, as far as tiling, I don't know. I don't use tiling. I don't even know where it is. Performance threads, I think. Is that where tiling is? Performance threads. Oh yeah, the tiling right here. I mean, by default, use tiling is enabled. Again, I have honestly not really messed with tiling too much, so I couldn't answer that for you, my friend, because I just leave it to the default. I'm sure if you tweak it, you could get better or worse results. I can't answer that for you because I haven't used it enough to actually understand more of it. So you'd have to mess with it, brother. All right. The screen seems to be paused. I'm also seeing only default cube. Oh, really? Oh, snap. All right. Sorry, guys, on YouTube and everything. My bad. Have I not been sharing my screen the whole time? It's because I switched Blender screens and then I forgot to reshare my screen. Sorry about that, guys. Don't worry, I'll get the hang of it. Book handmade says thumbs up, smiley face, nerdy face, heart. Thanks, bro. Said says anytime, man. And again, check out Super Image Denoiser. Just Google Super Image Denoiser. If you have temporal denoising, that will help you great tons. All right, there was another question regarding 3D printing and using actual real-world measurements and stuff. Let me see what it was. Can you do real measuring scales on Blender for 3D printing? Absolutely. So, let's get into like some 3D printing stuff quickly. And then we'll end off. Again, guys, we do this every single weeknight. So jump on tomorrow. We'll do this again tomorrow. Same time, same place. And by the way, guys, join the Discord server. There is a link in the Instagram, on YouTube, everywhere. I've posted it. I've pinned it. Just join the Discord server or go to blendermania3.com. That is the official site and, of course, the Discord. All right. So the question is 3D printing measurements. So for 3D printing, again, the question, can you do real measuring scales on Blender for 3D printing? So first of all, guys, for 3D printing, you want to know what kind of 3D printer you have because it's going to change how large or small you could print stuff. So right here, for example, let me reshare my screen. Dang, I gotta reshare my screen everywhere. All right, hold on. All right, share screen there and on Restream. I can't forget you guys on Restream. Hold on. Stop screen sharing. Screen share window. All right. Hopefully everyone can see my screen. I'm pretty sure you can. So, oh wait, nope. There we go. Okay, now you can. So this is a website called shapeways.com. If you have a 3D printer, then you'll know your 3D printer. But if you don't, then there you go. But if you go to shapeways.com, this is a 3D printing service. And right here, you could, for example, upload a model. So right here, let's go ahead and upload a Suzanne model. So I'm just going to go ahead. You're not going to see my screen necessarily, but I'm just going to add a Suzanne. So monkey. And I'm going to go to File, Export, and I'm just going to export Suzanne as an OBJ. Again, Shapeways does not take FBX, so you need to export as an OBJ. And let me rename this to Suzanne. Suzanne. And select it only. Export wavefront OBJ. Up axis. The Z axis. Okay. So export wavefront OBJ. All right. So here on Shapeways, again, guys, I'm going over some 3D printing stuff. If you use CPU, smaller tiling is better. Now we gonna forget us. Need more monitors. Now we gonna forget. All right. So right here, I'm just gonna go to my profile, and right here you can see it says upload. So I'm just gonna click on upload. And right here, you can see I could upload my file. So I'm just going to choose my file right here. And let me go to the desktop, and you can see I have my Suzanne. So I'm just going to upload Suzanne. Let me click OK. And right here, again, I'm going to go into real the measurements and stuff that you need for 3D printing. By the way, guys, even if you have your own 3D printer, Shapeways is great because they have tools to show you if things are too small or too large, etc. So right here, you can see that I have Suzanne in here now. Boom, pretty freaking cool. Now right here, we have it set to millimeters, which I don't know anything about. So I'm going to change it to inches right there. So here you can see that Suzanne is 0.07 inches by 0.11 inches and 0.08 inches tall. Now again, and let me make sure I'm screen sharing properly everywhere. It's going to matter what kind of material. I was there 40 minutes ago and I picked it up again. Haven't you done anything yet? What are you talking about, man? I've been doing stuff this whole time. I'm not sure what the question is. All right, so right here, the question again is how to do measurements for 3D printing. So again, it depends what your materials are going to be. So right here, again, we could select our different materials. Right here, you can see we have a 3D materials guide. So if I click this, you can see that here, depending on the material, once again, the materials have different measurements that you need. For example, if I select this one, which is sandstone, you can see on this one, there's guides. So a supported wall needs to be at least 2 millimeters, and an unsupported wall needs to be 3 millimeters. Now, what the heck is a supported wall and an unsupported wall? Well, right here, boom, Samir says, exactly. So, so right here, let me go ahead and reshare my Blender screen. Change windows. So right here, share, and gosh dang it, I gotta go to restream, and let me share my Blender. I'm gonna try not to switch too much because this is crazy. So right here, guys, I'm going to take a different model to show like supported and unsupported walls. So right here, if I have a cube, a unsupported wall would be this right here. So this right here is an unsupported wall. Again, it does not have two walls supporting it. So you can see that right here, this wall is only connected by this base right here. So it's only connected by this. So it's not supported. It's an unsupported wall. A supported wall, would be something like this. So let me just boom, boom. So this right here is a supported wall. So a supported wall, it's supported by two walls right here. So it's supported. So right there, what it said is that a supported wall and unsupported wall for that material, again, every material is going to be different, needs to be at least 2 millimeters. So if I go to my measurements here, right here, you can see here I have my units. Now again, I don't like the metric system because I don't know it, because I am American. So right here, I could change it to imperial. But let me see if it's easier with just using meters anyways. So again, it needs to be 2 millimeters. So obviously, yeah, I mean, I could go to Google and just type in how many inches is 2 millimeters. You can see it's 0.07 inches. So here, again, it's 0.07 inches. And let me see if I do how many, let me see, 0.07 inches to a foot in decimals. 0.007. So basically here, I would want, again, if you're familiar with metric or imperial, totally up to you. But right here, again, 2 millimeters is 0.07 inches. So right here, two different ways I like to measure stuff in Blender. Let me remove this annotation here. Is by using this measurement tool right here. So if I left click and drag, I can measure stuff. As you can see right here, this right here is 2 feet or 1 foot or as you can see, 0.02 feet right there. But another way we could do it as well is if I go into edit mode, you can see I could turn on edge length right here. And then if I select an edge, as you can see right here, depending on what I'm set to, whether it's imperial or metric, I could have the measurement. So right here, this is 0.24 meters. If I scale it down, you could see that it will change from meters to, it should, let me see, is it not changing? Let me see over here. Length meters. All right, let me change it. So right here in this drop down, we could change it from length meters to millimeters. I guess it's just easier to change it to millimeters. So I'll change it to millimeters. You can see this is 224 millimeters. And I think what it said, yeah, so the supported walls, the smallest it can be is 2 millimeters. So right here, again, you can see that as I scale this, we're able to basically see the size of this and what is supported and not supported. So this right here will work just fine because it's 53 millimeters. Again, the smallest supported or unsupported wall is 2 millimeters. Now, if I go back here, let me go back. Let me share my screen again. Window, share, and let me go to Discord as well. Switch, change windows. Window, there, right there, share. All right. So right here, you can see that this is for this material. However, if I go to another material, such as the versatile plastic right here, you can see that here we have other information. The supported wall and the unsupported wall can be much smaller. You can see up to 0.7 millimeters. Now, what's really cool is, once again, on Shapeways here, we have this, and we could go to the tools here and go to open in 3D tools. And this will basically tell us, depending on the material we have set here, again, all the different materials will have different requirements. You can see there's a bunch of different materials, but by default it's set to versatile plastic. And it will basically, it will tell us right here if our walls are thick enough or not thick enough right here. So right here, we're going to be able to see that once it updates. Now, of course, this also depends on the overall scale of your model. If the model is scaled way too small, it's going to be, see, now we could go to wall thickness, and you can see that here, some of it is enough, but some is not, as you can see right there. And that's because of the overall scale of this object. If I click on scale right here, you can see that, let me change it to inches because, again, right here, you can see that the scales, and again, this doesn't really update. As you can see right there, it's still set to millimeters even when I change it to inches, but it will update once we change it. So right here, let me Z to like 3 inches, and I'm going to click on save right here. And now it's going to bring us back to the other page and re-update it 5 hours later. So right here, it's going to update the scale. And then we're going to be able to see how it differs. So right here, 5 hours later. Again, guys, shapeways.com. It's a great way to kind of see how your 3D prints, if there's any issues with them, because it tells you if there's holes in your geometry, if some walls are too small. Again, it depends on your 3D printer and what kind of material you're printing in. Different materials have different thickness requirements. So right here, if I go to wall thickness, it should be better since we increase the scale of our object. 5 hours later. All right, let's see here once it updates. What's up, guys? Once again, we do this every Saturday. It's a live Blender Q&A. Post says, boo, I hate metric. Yeah, me too. I don't understand metric, man, even though I'm French. I mean, I kind of understand it, but yeah, inches and feet are easier to me. Although it's a much more complex system and really dumb, because metric is so much easier. It goes by tens and hundreds. It makes more sense. Whereas feet and inches is just like, doesn't make any sense. It's like 12 inches is a foot. Doesn't make any sense, but you know, whatever you grow up with is easier usually. So here you can see that sometimes the site can be a bit buggy. You can see that right here, it hasn't really updated it, which is something that is annoying because sometimes it just like crashes or something, which is really annoying. I've had this when I've 3D printed from here. But if we refresh it, it should work. Also, one thing that I find helps is if I switch this material to something else, it could kind of update it and refresh it and kind of read it again. Sometimes it kind of gets stuck for some reason. All right, does anyone have any questions on this so far, by the way, on 3D printing? Dang, it's lagging on Instagram. It's like way behind. All right. Does anyone have any questions on 3D printing or anything that I've gone over? We're about to end off here soon, guys, by the way. Of course, this thing is giving me a bunch of trouble. You can see right here, we have the mesh integrity and repair. It says that it's passed. Nothing needs repairing. We have the bounding box. This is basically, it has to be within this bounding box. The mesh has to fit. You can see that we get a little check mark, which means that it's good. And of course, it's not updating or loading here, and that's just great. And right here, the wall thickness, you can see the wall thickness. We still have some issues, but you could see it's much, much better. You could see, I don't even know why there's an exclamation mark because nothing is red. Everything is green. You can see down here, we have problem areas. So if we click this, it will bring us to the problem areas. And you can see that this is a problem area right here and on the other side. So, and again, just because it's a problem area doesn't mean that it won't print. It just means that this can have issues. So you can see that now just by scaling it up, everything is pretty good. And everything is green because, again, everything fits these supported walls. Now, there's still an exclamation mark. Again, these two areas are suspect. They also have an option to fix the thin walls right here, which will automatically kind of inflate the thin walls. But yeah, for 3D printing, it's pretty easy. Basically, what you want is to basically check the material that you have and see what the minimum wall thicknesses are. That's probably the most important. And then in Blender, you could turn on, let me go ahead and share my screen again. Jeez, I gotta find a faster way to switch the screens. So in Blender, 5 hours later, you can turn on the measurement tool is great, but you could turn on the edge length and see the length of your edges. And also, again, with Shapeways, it's great because you could just upload your model there and it will tell you if there's any issues or if things are too small, etc. This kind of looks like a weight, a gym lifting weight. All right, so with that, guys, we're at the top of the hour. Does anyone have any final questions regarding 3D printing that I just went over? By the way, guys, we do this every weeknight, same time, same place. Once again, guys, join the Discord. I'm posting the link here again. Join the Discord. And we do this every weeknight. So if you have questions the other days, you could ask it. And with that, guys, hey, good to see everyone. Good. What? Wouldn't it just be easier to share one of the monitors or another screen instead of your application at the top? When you share, you can just... Oh, okay, well, there you go. Well, I'll share the screen next time. Where's your tutorial? I told you I'm going to... Well, yeah, I forgot to do the chainmail. I'll look at doing the chainmail tomorrow, brother. I got busy and was at the gym and I didn't get a chance. But tomorrow. All right, guys. We'll see everyone on the site, blendermania3d.com. And we'll see everyone tomorrow. Ciao for now. See you guys. Ciao.